Welcome to this edition of AMPTVNOW News. Today we have a special two-day report.
Two-day report is in reference to what is happening in Baltimore, Maryland with Freddie Gray's mysterious death and all the things that have happened thereafter.
Yes.
And so we thought we wanted to take that time to be able to explore that for our audience. The first day, we'll be going over all those facts, news sources that are giving us solid information. I know I listened to the Baltimore radio for a long time. We also did a lot of research from a lot of the Baltimore newspapers, which doesn't give the same information as some of those national sources. And also African-American sources that we were able to get information from. We also have our segment producers that are stepped in to take different parts of this. We have Nicole Dudley that's going to be exploring police violence in media and relations to urban communities. Jacoya Murphy is going to be telling us today what's trending in social media. She'll also be telling us more so tomorrow some more news about the socioeconomics of Baltimore, Maryland, and what it's like to live there and the employment rate and the poverty rate.
What I noticed just with what I saw in the news, in that area, it seemed like it's a high level of poverty, lack of jobs, and lack of education.
Right.
So I was curious with the, we seen the riots that's been displayed.
Yes.
There was not, they just showed the negative aspect.
Right.
They didn't show the peaceful politics of it,
right.
but they just showed the negative aspect.
And we'll be looking at that on day 2. Again, day 1 is basically to give our audience those facts that they need to know. And one of the things we'll be exploring as we look at the overview, looking at Freddie Gray, also known as Freddie Pepper Gray, and 25 years old was when he did pass away. He died April 19th. His funeral was this past Monday, April 27th. I don't know if people are familiar with lead-based, he had lead-based paint poisoning as a young, in the 1990s. In fact, ended up winning a settlement with that, he and his sister, who were very young.
Yes.
And they were exposed to this lead-based paint for a number of years. And they were, according to the court system that awarded them these monies, they were incapable of living a normal functioning life due to the number of years of being exposed to this lead-based paint.
I know that it has some cause of effect to the brain.
Sure.
And maybe slowing the process of the brain.
Learning processes as well.
So that may...
And behavioral issues.
Yes, that may have some incidence of what is causing the situation to happen now.
Right. I know they often talk about Freddie Gray's arrest or his multiple arrests. We want to let people know that most of those arrests were on, it looks like marijuana, drug charges. And I don't know, we can't say that is that in reference to lead-based paint, but that would have something to do with it if you're looking at the behavioral issues that did follow because of the lead-based paint, something out of his control. This is living in impoverished areas in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes, in that particular area, I noticed that in this area, it was predominant African American that lived there.
Right.
And impoverished area.
Very impoverished.
Low income area.
And he did live with his mother, who was known as heroin addict and disabled heroin addict. So those are also some challenges that he was up against just to start. Looking at the culmination of events, that the reason why you see the protesting, and what I always say, things are a result or end result. We look at the end result, we say, why are these people doing this or why is this happening? But you have to look at cause and effect. Everything happens where there's always initially a cause. And that's what we want to be able to explore today on AMPTVNOW News, where it stands, all about Baltimore, so that you have an understanding of this almost 80-mile square area of a city that has over 500,000 people. So we'll be giving you those stats and those numbers also over the next couple of days. And I guess after the break, we want to give you more information about Freddie Gray and what has happened since Freddie Gray's mysterious death. And thereafter, we'll also have Jacoya Murphy, who will give us some of those insights from social media. You're watching AMPTVNOW News. We'll be right back. Want to be a featured DIY expert on AMPTVNOW News? Have 5 years experience in the field of knowledge you want to share with millions of viewers? Great.
Find out how you can earn money by helping others make their lives better. DIY, do it yourself, can mean viewers are saving money, enhancing their lives, or looking at a more efficient way of doing a task. If you've got the information to share, we've got the hookup for the digital download. Find out more by going to news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com. Get help with sorting your finances by following the best DIY expert advice featured on AMPTV Now News. Get in-depth information throughout the week about the experts from news hosts Julia and Lennice, who do an in-depth report of what's in that $4.99 digital download. A digital load of information to help enhance your life, business, family, and more. See the latest DIY feature this week by checking out our website at news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com.
Welcome back to AMPTV Now News. As we said, we're doing a 2-day special in regards to Baltimore, Maryland, the Freddie Gray case, which has been a mysterious death. And so we wanted to help people understand the mysteriousness behind that. And we also want to let you know that our blog, our producers and news anchors are very much keeping us up to date what's happening in the news, especially in dealing with the Freddie Gray in Baltimore, Maryland. So we definitely want you to check that out. We have Jacoy Murphy, who has a segment on "This is not a protest. This is not your First Amendment right," and this is where she was quoting the police commissioner, Anthony Batts, who was commenting on some of the protesters that were out of control. And so Jacoy Murphy has her comments about that. Lauren Daniels, our news anchor, has a personal statement of her own on the Freddie Gray incident, and so you'll be able to look at that YouTube video. That's also on our news.amptvnow.com, where she comments briefly in the blog. And then tomorrow, Nicole Dudley will feature her blog from her perspective, and we'll also be able to see Nicole Dudley's segment about that. Also, producer Murphy went into a blurb about would you lay your life on the line? Take a look at that. That's on our website at news.amptvnow.com. And she will also be exploring America's economic inequality like she does in that blurb. And she'll be giving us a detailed report on the socioeconomic issues in Baltimore, Maryland, poverty, education, unemployment rates, and so forth tomorrow on the day 2. And I guess we should go back into the Freddie Gray incident itself. Again, he's 25 years old. He died April 19th. And we are looking at video as we watch.
Well, the video went viral, number one.
And it was 2 people that took the video.
Yes, it's 2. They got 2 people that took it in separate angles. I know one of his friends went around.
Kevin Moore, 28-year-old Kevin Moore.
Around and got the better angles of it. But what is interesting is he heard a taser going off by the police. And he went over there and he immediately...
He ran over there.
He ran over there and he immediately started filming it. And he heard screaming.
Right.
Okay? Now, they have 2 officers from what I've seen the video.
Source is the Baltimore Sun, just to let people know.
2 officers, one had his knee on his neck.
On his neck.
And the other one have his leg bent all the way over. You know?
Mind you, by this time, he's also handcuffed is the issue.
And after he's been tased, you know, and he's screaming, crying out that he has asthma or he needs his
inhaler. He can't breathe.
So looking at that, I was like, wow, he's what, 145 pounds?
5'8", 145 pounds, which would be rather thin for 6 cops to be surrounding you like that.
He was already detained.
Right.
So it seemed
and it was
like
6 cops.
It was over-aggressive.
Right, overly aggressive.
So.
And so he did suffer these fatal injuries. And when you see him being dragged, you'll notice in the video that his leg is bent because it can't be walked on.
It looked like it was broken.
Right. So by that time, it looked like it's dangling.
Lagging. It was lagging in there. He was totally defenseless.
You could see that. And that was one of the issues that people had. And in the second video, you hear the lady saying, why are you guys doing that boy like that? Why, he can't even walk. And they were just literally dragging him to the van. Now, the issue is when they did drag him into the van, they just threw him in there, no seat belts or anything like that. So if he's already injured and you're throwing someone into the back of a van in the police ride and he's screaming that he needs medical attention and they took their time giving him medical attention. So that's going to be a problem that the police in Baltimore, Maryland are going to have to answer to. Also, the fact that there are 8 cameras along the street where Gray was apprehended and there was no footage, mysteriously, of the apprehension.
What is curious, on the actual police report, as you stated, there is no incident of him being violent, him being resistant.
Right. He did not resist arrest.
That's on a report, on document. So,
And if people are asking, how did this happen? Well, he was known, again, Baltimore, you got to know the different areas of drug areas. And if we look at the history of the police relations, not only in Baltimore, Maryland, but just among African American males in general, when people say, well, why did he run? He should have just not run. And it's so hard to say, but either you're worried about what they are going to do to you, and if you've had priors or if you're on probation and you're in an area that, again, police were patrolling an area where he happened to be near that area that was a drug area. He wanted to get out of the scene. So they saw him fleeing. The police on bicycles saw him fleeing, and he ran. So they weren't chasing him because he did anything at that time. He was just trying to get out of that area.
I guess it's just a natural reaction.
It is
in
a natural
sense.
reaction.
When you see the police and you maybe or may not be doing any type of dirt, you're gonna run, you know, because you don't want to get caught.
You don't want to get caught. You don't want to be in the area.
You don't want to be incarcerated. You don't want to go to jail.
Of being suggested that you did anything, and you are in an area where it's already impoverished and there's no cameras, there's no one to watch over you, just like in this incident. You know, and we just saw the Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin. We've seen these incidents occur, and people are not living through this. Eric Garner, obviously, they're dying. And so the funeral was held on Monday, April 27th, at New Shiloh Baptist Church. And thereafter, there's a peaceful protest that was on Saturday. There was a small group that turned violent. And I know that the media, the mainstream media, might have focused a lot on that group, but just letting people know that it was a small group at first. And I know they blamed it on the high school students that wanted to follow some movie based on The Purge, but that may not necessarily be correct as well, because a lot of the rest were based on adults. So letting people know about the riots that broke out after the funeral, it began, I'd say, Monday, April 27th. And now we need to let people know that the 6 officers gave their statements, however, one did not. The 6th officer has invoked his right to refuse to answer the questions. And also, Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings has had a curfew. Rawlings Blake has declared this curfew until the end of the week, until they can get things under control, and until Friday. So from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. is when that was in effect, and then 9 p.m. for children under 14. Tuesday, schools were closed, and the Maryland Governor Larry Hogan declared a state of emergency and activated the National Guard. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. National Guard on the ground and to join the police force. According to WQuad.com, there were 200 arrests, 144 vehicle fires, 15 structural fires, 15 officers wounded, 6 seriously wounded, according to Police Commissioner Anthony Batts. And Friday is when the investigation, they'll give some type of findings of what they have in their investigation, but we have to talk about what that really means, because they're not going to be given all the information. And then also Gray's full autopsy is going to take about 30 to 45 days. And those are the facts, as we know that, giving people that information.
That's a lot of facts.
Right, it is. And looking at the riots, people say, well, why are they rioting? We have to look at the end result or the cause to why we have this effect. Doesn't mean, I know that the president spoke out, and we'll talk about that on day 2. According to social media, we have people that are angry about his comments. So some people are okay with his comments, some people are not okay with his comments.
Well, one thing about it is, with the President of the United States, he mentioned about the poverty in that area. He mentioned that the role models.
He did point that out.
He was looking at the role models. Other African-American male fathers are being massively incarcerated, so they don't have someone to advise the young adults, African male role models, what's,
I think it's important you pointed that out, so we should give him credit for that. Even though this was at a totally separate press conference, Prime Minister Abe, because I can never say that first name, from Japan, and they were addressing a totally separate issue, but he took 14 to 15 minutes to discuss the issue, the Freddie Gray mysterious death. And he did say that the Department of Justice is going to be fully engaged in investigating the police department. I mean, that has to be done. And so that part's not over, and so we have to give the president some type of credit for that, even though people are saying, what has the president done for African Americans? At least some people in the community are saying that. And at this point, he did address, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow, I guess, what he addressed.
It's a whole different topic.
Yeah, it's a whole different topic. So after the break, we're going to be talking about Jacoya Murphy's social media, what they're saying. And she'll be talking about both sides. You're watching AMPTVNOW News. We'll be right back.
Want to be a featured DIY expert on AMPTV Now News? Have 5 years experience in the field of knowledge you want to share with millions of viewers? Great. Find out how you can earn money by helping others make their lives better. DIY, do it yourself, can mean viewers are saving money, enhancing their lives, or looking at a more efficient way of doing a task. If you've got the information to share, we've got the hookup for the digital download. Find out more by going to news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com. Get help with sorting your finances by following the best DIY expert advice featured on AMPTV Now News. Get in-depth information throughout the week about the experts from news hosts Julia and Lennice, who do an in-depth report of what's in that $4.99 digital download. A digital load of information to help enhance your life, business, family, and more. See the latest DIY feature this week by checking out our website at news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com.
Welcome back to AMPTV Now News. We are doing our 2-day special on what's happening in Baltimore, Maryland. Although things have tightened up for the evening, as far as Tuesday evening, because they have the National Guard and a number of police, thousands of police officers. There were some peaceful protests. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be talking about some of the great things. But before we do that, we want to get to Jacoya Murphy, who's going to be talking about those social media comments. Now, it runs on both sides, so we want to give you both sides of the angle, what people are saying. Let's take a look.
Thanks, Julia. This is Jacoya Murphy here with AMPTV News. Malcolm X said, once the police have convinced the white public that the so-called Negro community is a criminal element, they can go in and question, brutalize, murder unarmed innocent Negroes, and the white public is gullible enough to back them up. One of the things that I do want to go ahead and mention really quick is that the purpose of what the media is doing when they're portraying, African Americans out there protesting and rioting and whatnot is so that they can give an excuse as to why they can justify these deaths. All it is death justification. The same thing that when we're going through history and we're seeing that the Bible was used to justify why slavery was okay. All of this is the same thing. It's what we're running into all over again and just a repeat of history. Going into what I've, done some research on some different things that people have been posting up in regards to the Baltimore riots. There's a post that's circulating on Facebook, and it's basically talking about how the symbolism between nonviolent and violent protesting and rioting, all ending in the same result. Another thing that we're also seeing that's circulating around is that another side of the story that we don't get to see very often. We've seen all the negative, we've seen the few people who've looted, the few people that have stomped on cars, but we don't get to see that there were 2,000 people out there marching peacefully in front of City Hall, doing the right thing. And yet still, the media continues to only circulate the things that were negative, painting a picture that we are uneducated, painting a picture that we are the brutes, painting a picture that they can justify why it is okay that they are slaying Black men. So on Twitter, there's a few posts that go ahead and speak on what's happening with the Baltimore riots and what they feel is right and what's wrong. And so we've got some opposing arguments on both sides. So here's the post. By using violence in their protests, the people in Baltimore are contradicting their own protest. Hashtag Baltimore riots. Apparently being mistreated, so I'm going to beat up senior citizens and rob stores. Okay, we'll check this out. People keep saying it's caused by systemic racism, and they're half right. It's systemic, but it's systemic socioeconomic inequality. It's about a group of young people who have no hope. It's about people who are so disconnected from the opportunities they would otherwise have, they feel they have to destroy the only resources available in order to mean something and to be heard. It's not about racism. It's about being lost. And another who quotes from JFK on their Twitter. Check this one out. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. So these are some of the things that we're getting from social media. People who are completely for or against what's going on in Baltimore. And just so that you have a little bit more perspective, here's another one. He turned off the TV, gathered 15 friends, and went to try and calm things down in Baltimore. The photo says, I helped assemble some brothers up from the community. We converged, we prayed, we sang, we stopped some fights, we stopped some rioting. We just held them by the hand and talked to them and told them to calm down. By Malcolm Taylor, and this is a Baltimore City bus driver. Now, the interesting thing is that when I was looking up some hashtags for Baltimore riots, there were also some things that were a little bit more specific. White people was added to the hashtag. So here's some of the things that some people were saying, and you'd be surprised the different dynamics that we're getting from the people that are actually in support of these riots. I'm so disgusted seeing white people say rioting isn't the way. Then what is, because peaceful protesting isn't working? When this happens, I never hear white people say there's better ways to celebrate. Hashtag Baltimore riots. And another, dear white people suggesting looters be shot on sight, do you feel the same way when white sports fans take to the streets? And here is yet another. White people telling me violence is not the answer, but the way their history is set up, though, the audacity to point the fingers, hashtag Baltimore riots. And I'm going to end on this note. We have police officers who are sworn to oath to protect innocent, to be there and be accountable and be responsible. Yet and still, these people that have taken the oath are the same people that are slaying us. They're the same people that are lying and trying to cover up something that they shouldn't be covering up because it shouldn't be an issue to begin with. These are the people that some people are out there protecting. And after so many times of being slapped in the face, we all have this expectation that we have to remain peaceful the entire time. Our Black community is getting killed out there for being peaceful. We're getting killed out there for being rioters and being painted as thugs. We're getting killed out there anyway. And if we have to make an impact that's going to shake the world, then I think that's something that should be done. And I'm not here to promote terrorism or anything like that, but I mean, pretty much what's happening is that these police officers are being terrorists to the Black community, and it's just being ignored. This is Jacoya Murphy with AMPTVNOW News. I'll see you soon.
Okay, so we just looked at the social media comments that Jacoya Murphy, segment producer, was able to pick out what's going online. And I feel like sometimes people are very bold online. They can say whatever they want, and it's not reality.
Well, a lot of people out there don't understand what is going on in the Black community, in the African American community, in regards to the social economics that they're dealing with and the stress that comes with that. Some people, a lady I was talking to was commenting, stating that she don't know what it's like to be broke.
Right.
Never been broke in her life, but don't know what it's like to be completely broke. And they live on that level every single day, all the time.
And some people don't know what it's like to have to live through racism and have to worry about your color and have to even think about that. That's not really an issue.
No.
For a lot of people. And so when we're looking at the African American experience or people of color, it's definitely a challenge that you have to look at every day. And I know when we talked about a documentary where a young lady didn't have to worry about it, and remember, she didn't know that she had Black in her, but her friends would look at her strange. She didn't have a care in the world about racism. There was no such thing. And so we want to let people know that before we end today's program, we want to let you know for tomorrow, things that we will be talking about are those socioeconomic issues, Baltimore, unemployment rates and the poverty levels. Jacoya Murphy is going to be giving some insight on that. Nicole Dudley is going to be giving us some insight as well from the police and the violence in the media. We'll have more facts on the Freddie Gray case and give you some more updates on that as well. We also want to tell you about the good things that have been happening in that city and what people have been doing and the rival gangs that have been coming together in peace, in protests for peace. They've laid their arms down and want to be able to come in solidarity, although those reports on social media are incorrect, and they did report that even on the CNN. So they want people to know that those are all rumors, what's being said. Also, we want to let you know what our national leaders are saying, a little bit more about what our President Barack Obama was saying for change. And so we hope that you were able to get some insight and information on just the basics and things that you can go and research. So check out our blog at news.amptvnow.com, and you can get more insight from our producers and also our news anchor, Lauren Daniels, Nicole Dudley, and Jacoya Murphy. And we will continue to keep you up to date with news blurbs and letting you know what's going on. We thank you for watching this edition of AMPTV Now News. We will see you tomorrow.
Want to be a featured DIY expert on AMPTV Now News? Have 5 years experience in the field of knowledge you want to share with millions of viewers? Great. Find out how you can earn money by helping others make their lives better. DIY, do it yourself, can mean viewers are saving money, enhancing their lives, or looking at a more efficient way of doing a task. If you've got the information to share, we've got the hookup for the digital download. Find out more by going to news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com. Get help with sorting your finances by following the best DIY expert advice featured on AMPTV Now News. Get in-depth information throughout the week about the experts from news hosts Julia and Lennice, who do an in-depth report of what's in that $4.99 digital download. A digital load of information to help enhance your life, business, family, and more. See the latest DIY feature this week by checking out our website at news.amptvnow.com. That's news.amptvnow.com.